Dear students, we're going to do the third exercise in our first lesson. The third exercise in our first lesson. Let's see this exercise now. It's not easy. It's a difficult one. So I want you all to watch carefully and listen to my explanation. Mettez les phrases au passé composé. Put the sentences in passé composé. Now let's go through all these 5 sentences. Number 1, Michel arrive devant le palais de Versailles. Paul and Michel arrive in front of the Versailles Palace. Number 2, les écoliers commandent une pizza. The school pupils are ordering for a pizza. Number 3, tu bois beaucoup de jus de pamplemousse. You drink a lot of juice. Number 4, Ramesh va au marché. Ramesh is going to the market. Number 5, vous rentrez de Bordeaux. Are you returning from Bordeaux? Now, can you see in the question, all these in the actual sentence, all these 5 verbs, which I've highlighted in blue, they're already conjugated in present tense. Now, what we're supposed to do is we're going to change from present tense to passé composé tense. Now, first, let's identify the verbs. Okay, the verb is always placed after the subject. The subjects are here in the first position, and the verb they take the second position. Now, the next step is we need to know the infinitive form. Now, the verb is already conjugated in present tense. Now, we need to know the infinitive form. When a verb is in the infinitive form, it might end with the ending ER, or it might end with the ending IR, or it might end with the ending RE. So let's check out the infinitive form for all these verbs. The first verb, arrive, it comes from this verb arriver, A-R-R-I-V-E-R. Then second verb, commande, it comes from this verb commander, C-O-M-M-A-N-D-E-R. The third verb, boire, it comes from this verb boire, B-O-I-R-E. The fourth verb, va, it comes from this infinitive form, aller, A-L-L-E-R. And the fifth verb, rentrer, it comes from this infinitive form, rentrer, R-E-N-T-R-E-R. Now, did you notice all these 5 verbs, we've got the infinitive form, but I've highlighted only 3 verbs, arriver, aller, and rentrer in, I've highlighted with this yellow shade. It's for a reason. Now, when you want to conjugate a verb in passé composé, you have 2 auxiliary verbs. You can use either avoir or être. But for the verbs that are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tram, can you see the verb arriver, aller, and rentrer? These 3 verbs which I've highlighted in yellow shade, they are found in Dr. Mrs. Van Tram. So when the verb is found in Dr. Ms. Van Tramp list, we need to use être as the auxiliary verb. So when we're going to conjugate these 5 verbs in passé composé, please remember for the verb arriver, aller, and rentrer, we need to use être as the auxiliary verb. And for these 2 verbs, commander and boire, we need to use avoir as the auxiliary verb. Now let's do it. Now you also have to remember when you use être as the auxiliary verb, you need to do something called agreement at the end of the past participle. So when I'm going to explain how to conjugate these verbs in passé composé, listen carefully which auxiliary verb I'm using, what will be my past participle, whether I can go with a general rule to get the past participle, or do I have a special past participle, and do I need to do the agreement or not? And if so, if I need to do the agreement, if I use être as the auxiliary verb, then check out the subject, and according to that, you need to do the agreement. So when I'm explaining, listen carefully. The first sentence, Paul et Michel arrivent. Now, Paul A. Michel is your subject. And what will be your equivalent subject pronoun? You're talking about a boy and a girl. It is something like they, ILS. So when it is ILS, I told you the verb arriver is found in Doctrinus Fantram. So we need to use être as the auxiliary verb. So when it is ILS, what's your être conjugation? It is SONT. And for the verb arriver, you need to get your past participle. There is no special past participle arriver. You can go with the general rule, cut ER and you put E acute. So you'll get ARRI, VE acute. That's your past participle. What I've written in red is your actual past participle. Now, I told you, when you use être as the auxiliary verb, you have to do something called agreement at the end of the past participle. Here we have used the agreement, we have added an S as an agreement at the end of the past participle arrive. It's because in the subject, we are talking about two people. It is something like ILS. So when the subject is something like the subject pronoun ILS, then your agreement will be, we need to add an S here. That's the reason you've got Paul et Michel sont arrivés devant le palais de Versailles. Paul and Michel have arrived. Les écoliers commandent. Now we're going to conjugate this verb commander in passé composé. It's not found in Doctrinus Fantram, so we will use avoir as the auxiliary verb. Now, who has ordered for a pizza? Les écoliers. Now, the subject noun is the school pupils. It is the equivalent subject pronoun for les écoliers is ILS. It's something like third person plural, the school pupils. So I told you for the verb commander, you don't have an, it's not found in Doctrinus Fantram. So you can go with the avoir as the auxiliary verb. Les écoliers is something like ILS. So your avoir conjugation for ILS, it's ONT. And for the verb commander, you can go with the general rule to get the past participle. You just cut ER and you put E acute. Now we need not do any agreement at the end of the past participle like the previous verb because we have not used être as the auxiliary verb, but we have used avoir as the auxiliary verb. So when you use avoir, we need not do any agreement. Les écoliers ont commandé une pizza. The school pupils have ordered for a pizza. Tu bois beaucoup de jus de pamplemousse. You drink. Now the verb boire is not found in Doctrinus Fantram. We will use avoir as the auxiliary verb. So when the subject is tu, your avoir conjugation is AS. And for the verb boire, you have an irregular past participle and that is BU. So finally you'll get tu as bu beaucoup de jus de pamplemousse. You have drunk a lot of juice. Ramesh dash au marché. The verb is aller. It's found in Doctrinus Fantram. We need to use être as the auxiliary verb. Ramesh is something like IL. So your être conjugation is EST. And for the verb aller, how do you get your past participle? Cut ER and you put E acute. And if you use être as the auxiliary, you're supposed to do the agreement. But since the subject is Ramesh, third person masculine singular, it is something like IL. So we need not do anything here. You just leave it as Ramesh est allé au marché. Ramesh has gone to the market. The last sentence, vous rentrez de Bordeaux. You have returned from Bordeaux. So the verb is rentrer. It is found in Doctrinus Fantram. We need to use être as the auxiliary verb. So when the subject is vous, your être conjugation is E chapeau TES. And for rentrer, you can go with the general rule to get the past participle, cut ER and you put E acute. But can you see, when you use être as the auxiliary verb, you have to do the agreement. This vous, you're talking to a group of people, it's in plural. It might be masculine plural or feminine plural. So since it's in plural, we need to add an S here. So you'll get, vous êtes rentré de Bordeaux? Did you return from Bordeaux? So I hope you've understood when to use être as the auxiliary verb. And if you use être, how will you do the agreement? Please go through this video again and again. It's a very important exercise. And It might come for your board exam. So please go through this video again and again, and I'm sure you'll be able to understand how to do this exercise. Thank you.